I will open our meeting. Welcome to the October 21st, 2025 meeting of the Planning Board. First, we'll take a roll call to introduce board members and staff. Maureen Collins-White.
Here.
Phil Giordano.
I'm here.
Mike Derderian.
I'm here.
Tim Haladina. And did I say it correct? I said it right. Yeah.
Nailed it here.
All right. Only took me 1 week. That's good. We're also joined by Jess Cole, our recording secretary, Amanda Wolf, our housing and land use planner, Nora Loughnane, our director of community and economic development, and Charlotte Lynch from Westwood Media Center. And I'm Ellen Rawlings. I'm also here. All right. This meeting is recorded by Westwood Media Center and broadcast live on local cable television Comcast Channel 6 and Verizon Channel 42. Meetings are also live on the Westwood Media Center's YouTube channel. If you're interested in joining the meeting via Zoom, you can find the login directions in the planning board meeting notice that is posted to the calendar section of the town's webpage at https://www.townhall.westwood.ma.us/. We will begin the meeting with only the board members and staff unmuted and on video. As the chair recognizes individuals to speak, we will unmute them. Board members may choose to mute themselves when they are not speaking in order to minimize background noise. For applications, the chair will first invite the applicant to address the board and give a presentation summarizing what is being requested. Board members receive the application materials prior to the meeting and will have reviewed them. Board members may ask questions during and following the presentation. Staff and outside experts will provide comments to the board. If the issue includes a public hearing, the board will then proceed to the public comment portion of the public hearing and will restate the instructions. In this remote meeting format, residents and guests may participate in several ways. Attendees should raise their hand and wait to be unmuted and recognized to speak over the Zoom meeting application or from a telephone dial-up. We will be able to hear you but not see you. Additionally, comments may be submitted by email or regular mail prior to the meeting. When we come to that part of the meeting, I will remind everyone of the process. Following the public comment portion, the board will deliberate and make a decision or continue the hearing to a specific future date. All remote meetings require that votes be taken by roll call. When a motion and second has been made, the chair will ask if there is any further discussion before proceeding to a roll call vote and will then restate the results of the vote. Okay, welcome everyone. Amanda and Nora, do we have any changes to the agenda this evening?
Yes, so 85 University Avenue, the Gables wireless application would like a little more time to prepare the materials that were requested at the last meeting, but will be prepared for the November meeting.
Excellent. And that's not any kind of hearing or anything. We don't need to take any action. We can just reschedule that, right?
Right.
Fabulous. Okay. Then our first agenda item is.
Ellen,
Yes,
I will be recusing myself if it's this Canton Street.
it is. It is.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We'll give Maureen a minute then. Okay, so our first agenda item is Canton Street /11 Perry Drive, joint public hearing with the Westwood Tree Warden for consideration of a scenic road approval to remove trees in the public right-of-way along Canton Street at 11 Perry Drive. Okay. I see Karen is here, our tree warden. Hi, Karen.
Hello, everyone.
How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Good. And it looks like we might have one of the residents of the property here. I'm thinking. Oh, hi. Yes, we have two folks here. Welcome.
Difficulties. There you go.
No worries. All right. So I'm happy to give the floor to whoever is going to be kind of giving us the background on this item.
I think Karen will walk us through this one.
Thank you.
Sure. So on May 8th, I went to the site after the town received a call from a resident that there was some cutting on Canton Street. It was actually 11 Perry Street, which is right off of Canton Street. At that time, sorry, I just have to get out my notes.
No.
At that time, I found several trees cut. So the owners stated that they weren't aware that this was town property. It is kind of deceiving because the wall, there's a stone wall quite far in from the street. But I did find 5 2-inch birch trees cut, 6 4-inch maple trees, 1 6-inch birch tree, 4 to 5 5 to 6 inch maple trees and 2 6-inch maple trees. I believe all the maple trees are Norway maples, which are invasive. And I'm not really sure of what the shrub layer consisted of. As I said, the owners didn't realize they were cutting town trees. Their intention at the time was to revegetate the area. They have 2 small children and they wanted to kind of create a buffer between the street and their property. And they said that it was kind of shrubby, that it looked a little shrubby, so. So we've had several meetings with the owner. I've had several discussions with the owner. And here we are now, so.
Sorry, I was muted. I had to find my way. You answered my question about what kind of maples. So, I guess we'll start with comments from staff and then we'll go to board member questions. And, this is a public hearing, so I'll open up the floor to public participation after that discussion. So we'll start with staff. Any staff comments?
So this is an area where the trees were removed from the public right of way. It was rather densely landscaped in this area. This is part of the Canton Street project, redevelopment project, which has an uncertain status at this point. So what Karen did was she reached out to the Department of Public Works and asked them to provide her a plan that showed if Canton Street is redeveloped, where the wall may move to, where a sidewalk may go, to make sure that the replanting that this board calls for is outside of an area where it would be disturbed. So the last thing we'd want to do is ask the residents to replant the trees that were removed in an area where they might have to be removed and relocated yet again. So Karen received a plan from the Department of Public Works, and on that plan there's an area shown as probably easiest if I share my screen.
Yeah, I have it right here, Nora.
Okay, do you want to pull it up?
Yeah.
So I measured this area with Mike Perkins and was told that it was about 700 square feet of disturbance within the right of way that they can revegetate.
So you'll see as soon as the plan comes up. The area that we're talking about is the area between the red line that's shown on that plan, the red dotted line, and the black dotted line behind that, which is the lot line, the line that above that black line is private property, and below that black line is the town right of way, which goes all the way through to Canton Street. The red line indicates the area where the Department of Public Works suggests we stay outside of. So this plan shows if the Canton Street project went through as it was most recently designed, it would relocate the stone wall. You can kind of see on that plan the ghosting of the existing stone wall in gray. And then you see the proposed new stone wall in black. And they're suggesting staying away from the area between that new stone wall and the red dotted line, but plant the trees behind the red dotted line. There's not enough room to plant 18 trees that were removed and have them be healthy and grow well in that area. So the recommendation is for 10 trees to be planted and 9 shrubs. Those 10 trees should be divided so that 5 of the 10 trees are planted in the right of way, so between the red dash line and the black dash line, and 5 of the trees are planted on 11 Perry Drive, but within proximity to the lot line, so that all of the new trees are not squished together and have enough room to thrive. So the recommended replanting would be on the public right of way. The public parcel would be deciduous trees, perhaps maples, perhaps birch, some type of Massachusetts native deciduous tree. And then the trees on the 11 Perry Drive could be evergreen trees. And my understanding is that the property owners were looking for something that provides greater screening, and an evergreen tree would do that. So that would be a mix to replicate the deciduous trees, which were previously in the public right of way, and to provide the screening that they're looking for on their own property. There's also a recommendation that 9 shrubs be added on the public portion of it under the deciduous trees scattered throughout the area in order to create new understory to replace what was removed.
Thank you. That was very comprehensive. Thank you. I'll open it up to board member questions. I have a couple, but I'm going to hold mine to the end. Oh, thank you. That's really helpful. All right. Any questions from my colleagues, board members?
Yeah, Nora, do you mind going back to that map and showing us where on the map the old wall and the old trees were, just so we have a frame of reference of what was taken down and where that was in conjunction with where the new lines are?
All right, so do you see, can you move your cursor, Amanda, over the word stone wall?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that?
Oh, yep, yep.
Okay, so that's showing the existing stone wall where it is today, and the trees were located to the east of that, so moving up on the plan, between that line and the town right-of-way, which is the black dash line right there. Yeah, so between that yellow line and the green line is where all of these trees were previously, and they were removed. And as Karen stated, they ranged in size from 5 or 6 inches down to 2 inches. So she had counted 18 trees. They were not all 5 to 6 inch trees. Some of them were smaller than that.
Okay, and that 16, is that 16, or is that 18 or
So,
16? Is that to
yeah, so
to the street?
that shows a dimension that you could measure off of the edge of the sidewalk, where the proposal, actually, I believe it's the edge of the existing pavement. So you can see the light gray line that marks the existing pavement on Canton Street, right there where Amanda's tracing it.
Mhm.
And that measurement goes from 16 feet back from that existing pavement on the north side and 18 feet back from that existing pavement on the south side. And the recommendation from the Department of Public Works is that the owners take a measurement at those 2 locations from the edge of pavement and measure back and not plant anything within that area that's shown in red there. So go back 16 feet from the existing pavement on the north end of the property and 18 feet from the existing pavement on the south end of the property. And if you do that, then you get to a point where you can plant trees without risking any disturbance if the Canton Street project moves forward.
And that stone wall, is that like 10 feet? Is that your 10-foot kind of sidewalk buffer that they're anticipating right there?
So where the new stone wall would be located, it looks like it's slightly more than 10 feet back.
Yeah, okay. And it doesn't seem like it's that big of a difference from where the stone wall was to begin with, right?
It's
So-
not. It's going to be, you can see the stone wall kind of meanders as it goes to the south. It moves actually slightly southwest,
Okay.
whereas the new wall would be directly, straight from north to south. But it's
Okay.
generally in the same location. The new wall, if that project goes forward, will only be slightly, looks like anywhere from 2 to 4 feet behind the existing wall.
Okay. Yeah. I was just curious how big of a change it would be, because it's always hard to make decisions based on hypotheticals on what that project might look like and where that path might go. But it looks like in this situation, there's really not much of an impact in terms of, following the design that they're anticipating for this purpose.
So if you were to take the staff's recommendation and require plants to be located where we're suggesting, what it would do is it would not completely replicate the pre-existing conditions,
Yeah.
which Amanda, if you want to show that, yeah, so that's the existing conditions, and this is the pre-existing conditions. You can see the pre-existing conditions had trees and shrubs right up to the edge of the wall.
Yeah.
So the existing wall will be maintained, at least for the foreseeable future. And the idea is that the new trees would be set back a bit from that existing wall. So there would be some grass or mulched area between the existing stone wall and the new trees that are proposed. And although that won't be exactly the same as what was there before, it would alleviate the need to disturb any of the trees in the future.
Okay. And how does that look in terms of when you go up another 10 feet? Will that blend in nicely? I did not get a chance to drive by. Yeah, so so there's another street right there. But that should look fine.
I think it would, yeah. I don't think it would be a problem. And if you, can you go to the existing site so we can see the area after the trees were removed? Yes, so you can see towards the corner, there are trees that were not removed.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Is there a staff recommendation on height of the trees, just to Mike's point, just to blend in, or?
So when we recommend trees, if it's a deciduous tree, we recommend the caliper width of the trunk of the tree to get a strong, healthy tree. And the planning board usually only accepts trees that are around 3.5 inch to 4 inch caliper. Because we are putting in a good number of trees close to a wall and close to existing ones, we're recommending 3 to 3.5 inch caliper, so only slightly smaller than what the planning board standard is. A tree of that width can range in height from 20 to 25 feet tall. So that's for the deciduous trees that we're recommending within the public right of way. For the trees that would go behind that, the evergreen trees, we're recommending a height of evergreen tree of about 8 to 10 feet.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Any other board member questions, comments? I'm not seeing any hands. I just have a couple. I did see in the landscaping plan for the evergreens, there was a note about a white pine. Is that what you were thinking about? I guess I'm asking the applicant. Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
I just had a question about them, but
Oh, sure.
it was nothing. It was fine. Yeah.
No, those are a lovely tree and they are a native species, one of the oldest, most ancient species on this continent. So kudos. But two things about them is they do tend to just give up and fall over, which isn't ideal. They drop a lot of branches and they grow really tall. I have some in my yard that are probably 80 feet.
Karen told me, so I just
Yeah.
and it's fine. So I got the info on it. So I just
Gotcha.
wanted to ask just because
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would recommend Eastern red cedars. Those are beautiful trees. They're very hardy. Yeah. And they don't get super tall super fast. I think for the street trees or for the deciduous trees, given that they're going to be kind of near power lines, I'd stay away from an oak. I'd like a maple, like a nice red maple or even a sugar maple, nice native maple. I think that would look nice. And then for the understory, I like an inkberry or a winterberry. They're evergreens, they're shrubs. They can grow taller, but they give some of that screening even when the deciduous trees don't have their leaves on them, and they're nice native species that tend to play nice with larger trees. So those are just my thoughts on that. And I wrote down two other questions. Oh no, one other question. As far as, and maybe this is an Nora question, I'm not sure. When it comes time to do the planting, would that be an independent arborist, or would that be like DPW would do the work on the street, or who's going to handle that?
So we're recommending that the property owners install the trees, purchase and install the trees,
Okay. All of them.
all of them.
Okay. And then that would be a licensed arborist, the same arborist doing all the work comprehensively, kind of. Yeah.
Yes, the same landscape professional. I'm not sure if they would have an arborist or just a landscape professional.
Okay. No, thank you. Those were the only questions I had. Editorially, I'm not sad to see the Norway maples go because they aren't native species. So we get a little replacement there in a good way. I think that's a good thing. So yeah, I didn't have anything else. Was there anything else from staff or board members at this time?
Just a note to the applicant, will be in the conditions as well, but the planting season for this fall does end November 15th. With the next planting season not happening till April. So just something to keep in mind.
Thank you. Okay, then at this time, I'll open up the floor to public participation. If anyone would like to ask a question or comment on this particular application, you can raise your hand and we can promote you to speak, or you can enter your comment or question into the Q&A. Just we will need your full name and address for the record to be able to address your comment or question. I'll give it a minute. I thought I'd seen a hand, but then it disappeared, but I'll give it a second to see if anyone wants to add any comments or questions.
While we're waiting, could I just ask you, you said inkberry, or what was the other variety that you were?
Winterberry, and
Winterberry.
there may be some non-native species, but I can give you the Latin names or some suggestions after the fact. But those are both nice. They're holly type. They don't look like Christmas holly, but they're in the holly family, so they are technically an evergreen, so that you'll have the leaves year round. I'm not seeing any hands, nor am I seeing anything in the Q&A. So I think it is safe to move back to the board. And if there are no other questions or comments from board members, I think we have just one motion. Thought we might have more than one, but looks like we just have a motion if folks are inclined to entertain it.
Any comments from the tree warden other than?
No, that
That's
sounds
it.
good. Sounds good.
All right, well then let me display a draft motion.
Mike, are you up?
I think Tim's up.
Oh, Tim's up. Oh, you got a newbie trying to do a motion. All right.
Rookie.
The initiation.
Oh, this
Okay.
isn't fair. You're gonna give him this one? Come on.
Oh, man. All right, I'll go for it. I, Timothy Halladina, move that the planning board and Westwood tree warden grant after the fact scenic road approval for removal of trees within the public right of way along Canton Street at 11 Perry Drive as described in the application, therefore submitted to the planning board and filed in the office of the town clerk on July 30th, 2025, and for the replacement of said trees as specified herein, subject to the following conditions. Except as modified by the conditions and findings hereof, the project shall comply with the project plans in all respects, and the applicant shall pursue completion of the project with reasonable diligence and continuity. If the project or any condition imposed in this decision requires any other permit, license, or other approval from any board or commission or any agency of the town of Westwood or other regulatory agency of the Commonwealth or the federal government, the applicant shall make an appropriate application for the same and shall obtain all required approvals prior to the start of any work. If any condition of such permit, license, or other approval from any other board, committee, or agency is inconsistent with this decision, the applicant shall make application to the planning board for an amendment of this decision, and the planning board shall consider such application in accordance with the requirements of MGL Chapter 40-15 and all applicable planning board rules and regulations. Prior to installation of landscaping, the applicant shall submit an updated landscape plan for review and approval by the town planner and tree warden. Said landscape plan shall include at least 5 maple or similar Massachusetts native deciduous trees size 3 inches to 3.5-inch caliper or larger, and 5 eastern red cedar trees size 8 inch to 10 inch in 8 feet to 10 feet in height and 3 inches caliper or larger, and 9 inkberry, winterberry, or similar Massachusetts native shrubs size 7 gallons or larger. The 5 deciduous trees shall be planted approximately 20 feet on center within the portion of the Canton Street public right of way designated as the recommended planting location on the plan titled 11 Perry Drive planting sketch provided by the Westwood Department of Public Works. The 9 shrubs shall be planted throughout the same designated portion of the Canton Street public right of way. The 5 evergreen trees shall be planted on the 11 Perry Drive property within 15 feet of the property line which borders the Canton Street public right of way. No work shall start until the applicant has complied with all applicable provisions of MGL Chapter 87. All landscaping approved herein shall be Massachusetts native species and installed at the earliest possible date, but only during the spring growing season, running from April 15th through June 15th, or during the fall growing season, running from September 15th through November 15th. Any plantings that do not survive shall be replaced in kind in perpetuity at the property owner's expense. All project-related activities shall comply with the timeframes set forth in the town's general bylaws, Chapter 292, for noise and construction, which allows such work Monday through Saturday between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., and Sunday between the hours of 12 p.m. and 7 p.m. A copy of this decision and the project plan shall be kept on the project site at all times during removal.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, one quick procedural question. When I take roll call, I ask Karen to vote too?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. Okay, seeing no further discussion, I'll take, oh, yes, sir.
Can I ask a question? Sorry, I didn't know. I didn't want to interrupt.
No worries, absolutely.
So you wanted us to, so those are what we have to plant out there, correct?
You mean the numbers or the species or both?
All the above. I guess
Yeah.
the number, the species, so that's what you're proposing, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I just wanted to know where that number, stood, like how we got that number. And you
Karen,
guys have all been helpful. I just, the trees out there, you know, and I'm looking at it, the inkberries are already growing back and everything's already growing back over there. There is a few trees that are not going to grow back, and they're obviously we cut them to the stump, but you know, that's a lot more than I actually cut. And if you go back to the picture of the street view in 2022, you'll see that it's a lot more scarce than the picture you were showing us in 2017. So
Karen can explain the justification for the number of shrubs. Going back, the numbers that she already mentioned that she counted were the trees and shrubs that she had found were cut down, and there were a total of 18, where 19 are required to be replaced. But if you add up the caliper of each of the shrubs and trees, the ones that are recommended for replacement are significantly fewer caliper inches than was removed. So Karen, do you want to go through what your recommendation was?
Yeah, so we had, I don't know the total of the caliber, but there were several 2-inch trees, so you might call them shrubs, but they were trees. I think they were maples. So we didn't, as I explained to you, we don't want to just put 18 trees into the space.
absolutely not.
We want it to be a healthy environment for the trees. So that we decided the 10 trees was pretty comparable to the final caliber, and the 9 shrubs would make a nice understory for the area.
Okay.
So
I guess my question would be if there's inkberries growing back already, which means that those were probably there. Like we didn't plant inkberries, so
I haven't done anything. We haven't done anything.
yeah, once Karen came, like I told my landscaper, don't touch anything else on that side. Like we didn't realize it wasn't our property. So I guess my question is, like, if inkberries are already growing back, then wouldn't that mean that those were not a maple tree, they were inkberries? You know what I mean? Like, I guess I'm just confused on that aspect. And then when we spoke with our landscaper, he said we only cut down 7 like actual trees. And if you go out there, there's still only 7 stumps. So everything else that had grown back, like has grown back, and there's 7 stumps out there. So that's my
okay, so
question, I guess.
so it looked like some stumps might have been removed, and I'm not saying it did look like there were some removed, but we do have a tree and plant replacement guideline, and that would be 2 to 1. So even if it was 7, 10 we think is a pretty fair number.
So nobody told me it was 2 to 1 before we started this meeting.
What's that?
I was misinformed that it was 2 to 1 before we started this meeting. I was there was a lack of communication there. So but I appreciate you letting us know.
So if I look at the trees and shrubs that Karen had identified when she visited the site in May, there were 5 2-inch trees, birch trees. There were 6 4-inch maple trees. There was 1 6-inch birch tree, 4 5 to 6-inch maple trees, and 2 6-inch maple trees. So if you add all of those up, let's see, so that's 12, 20, 32, 38, 24, 58, 72 inches, 72 caliper inches is what you would end up with. So if we're looking at 10 trees that are approximately 3 inches each tree, that is only 30 inches. So then you add in the shrubs, which are proposed here as 7-gallon shrubs, so they're probably about 2 inches well. So that's 18. So you have 48-inch caliper that's being required to be replaced compared to 72 inches that were removed. So actually what is being recommended is roughly half of what was taken out.
Okay, so I was just
I was
wondering
just-
because the inkberries are growing back and then the ones that we removed were mainly dead trees. The photo, like the street view that you showed, we just bought the house like less than a year ago. So when we bought the house, the greenery didn't
There was no greenery.
look,
There was no,
like,
I mean, there was
it
no greenery.
didn't
Like I
look
said,
that way.
if we look back at the street view in 2022, it looks a lot different than 2017. And I'm sure if you look at the street view in 2024, if there is a street view, it doesn't look like it was in 17. So if you're basing it off of 17, I think that's a little.
So- So we're actually basing it off of aerials, which we have approximately every 4 months, dating back to 2014. So we're basing it off the aerials immediately before the trees were cut down.
Okay.
Do you have
Can we
photos
see,
of
can we
them?
see, yeah, can I?
We have aerial views, yes.
I can pull them up.
Yeah, maybe we'll.
But, and respectfully, at least from my perspective, regardless of whether they were dead or not, and I understand you didn't realize that it was town property, it was still town property. So even if they were dead, it was really up to the town to decide how to move forward with that.
Yeah,
I think that's
sure.
part of the problem here.
Oh, no, and I totally get that. What we did was wrong, but I just wanted to see where you're getting the numbers, right? So nobody told me it was 2 to 1. So then you're giving. me
But
this
it's
whole
not even
story
2 to
about
1. I
18,
think,
you know, you want.
and as the homeowner, you're responsible for finding out what's responsible, what the town's requirements are. So,
Absolutely.
and it's not a 2 to 1 ratio. It's actually less than that. So
No, this is less than that, and I understand that, so I appreciate that.
So it takes a photo every few months. So I'll try to go back to one that's a little clearer to look
So
at.
all those brown trees are actually
No, it's
not.
October. It's October.
Here you can kind of see, even though there's no leaves, you can see the trunks a little better. Is there a certain view that you guys would like to see?
No, I was just curious.
Okay.
And then, so if the inkberries that are there are growing back, how would we move forward with like the requested inkberries? Would that be considered with the current count you guys are asking for?
Yeah, so what's recommended here is new plantings in addition to what's there. So anything that's within the town right of way, you should not be removing. So if something's growing back, you should leave it to grow back and then plant the additional 9 inkberry or winterberry or a mix of the inkberry and winterberry. And then plant the 5 deciduous trees, maple trees would be the recommended. And then that's it. So on the town property, you just plant the 5 new deciduous trees and 9 new shrubs. And then on your own property, you plant 5 evergreens, and the recommended species was eastern red cedar.
Okay, so,
Eastern red cedars on our.
okay, so if we, well, we
I
were
don't want
thinking,
Eastern red cedars on my property.
yeah, we were thinking we were gonna, on our property line, we were gonna put up a fence. Like where, so what we had initially thought when we cut the trees down, we were gonna put up like the privacy tree on each side of the fence. So like, I think they're called like arborvitae.
Arborvitae.
Yeah, so we
Arborvitae.
were gonna, we have, someone across the street has something similar, so we thought it looked nice. So what we were thinking is we were gonna do a fence and then arborvitaes on each side of the fence to kind of give that like privacy screen. So if, I guess I don't know what an evergreen looks like, so I'm having trouble
So
visually.
arborvitae is a variety of evergreen.
Okay.
That
okay.
is a variety. So I think the way the board's motion is written, you could recommend a different species of trees for
Okay.
Oh, that's fine.
consideration by the town planner and the tree warden, and they could consider that. But it would have to be a Massachusetts native species.
Yeah.
It would have to be on your property within 15 feet of the property line where it meets the town right of way.
Yeah.
And then if
Okay.
there's a fence that's going in there, the fence has to be on your property. So if
Yeah,
you wanted to put trees in front of it and behind it, then you need to put your fence back, 6 or 8 feet back from your property line in order to put trees in front of it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so it would be okay then to put the fence and then plant, I guess, where we would have planted those arborvitaes, we would plant the requested maples, like what the.
No, no, the maples will be planted in the town right of way,
Oh.
and then
People's
Yeah.
in the front.
some type of evergreen, some type of native
That's fine.
Massachusetts evergreen could be planted on your property, on
Okay.
either side of the fence you're proposing. So this doesn't, the planning board and the tree warden are not opining on whether you can put up a fence or not. That's your right as a property owner to put up a fence.
Yeah, okay, great, that makes more sense now, thank you.
Thank you.
Planning board. I had another question, and besides the trees, since we're talking about my property line, there's the stone wall that curves on the side of the property that I believe is probably the town's, but it's in my yard. I don't know if that-
So the stone wall that's along Canton Street is in the town right of way.
and the curved stone wall that comes into Perry,
He's referring to this section.
Yeah,
that's in my property.
Mm-hmm.
That
That's
belongs to-
your wall if it's on your property. You
Oh,
can't,
okay,
you
because
can't do anything with the portion of it that's within the town right of way without this same board having a hearing to discuss removing the wall or changing the wall. But the
Okay.
portion of it that's on your property, you're free to do with as you wish.
Okay.
So if you can
So
see,
the
do you see
portion
that yellow
2.5
line?
yeah,
So everything to the right of that yellow line, you can do what you want with. Everything to the left of that yellow line, you must leave in place.
okay,
Could we, or would it be a separate hearing probably, but could I, because I don't want to knock it down,
If you wanted to change that,
just so I
the
can. push
portion
it.
that's in the public right of way, you would need to have a separate hearing because this
Yeah.
wasn't advertised for that.
I just want to make sure. All right.
But
I
if
just
you're
wanna put up
interested in doing that, you could come back to the board at a later time with a request to alter the wall.
Okay.
If
Okay.
it's on town property, the
It's
part
on
that's on your property, you can do whatever you'd like with.
Okay. Ugh, all right.
no, it's fine.
Yeah.
Just from my perspective, I mean, I believe an arborvitae is another name for it is an eastern white cedar. So if you prefer that tree, I don't, it's a beautiful hardy evergreen tree.
Yeah.
So if that's more to your liking, we're good with arborvitaes. I
Okay.
guess the one other piece of advice I'd offer, because I've run into this at my house, if you're thinking of doing more, particularly since you live on a scenic way that has a fairly large right of way, you might want to do some sort of property survey, at least do the line between where your property ends and the right of way ends. If you
Yeah.
want to do, I know they're expensive, but at least get that line staked so you know exactly what's yours and what belongs to the town.
We've had it staked
Oh,
out.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Awesome.
I just wanna
Yeah,
make-
that'll particularly, I heard you talking about the wall. I'm like, that way you know
Well,
exactly.
the wall, because he staked it and it's in our, I don't want to remove the wall, but I do want to put a fence, so I don't know how to get around it. But if they move the wall somehow without disrupting it, I guess, or, I'd just probably be a little bit better, but.
Excellent. Well, you asked the right question. So thank you.
If I
Okay.
could make one more comment.
Yes.
If you could just stagger those trees a little bit when you plant them and not plant them in a straight row, that would be nice.
Would the DPW be able to plant the trees?
They would
Well, but
not.
that would-
Yeah.
Well, they would at a cost.
Yeah.
They would at a cost, but so would I be able to know how much they would want to actually?
So
plant?
you
Just
could.
so it's by like, just so there's no mistakes anyway.
Yep, so you could make a request. They would certainly go and participate in the planting so that if you're having your landscaper plant them, they can stay there and locate,
Okay.
make sure they're on town property, make sure they're
Yeah.
they're put in the right place. If you actually ask them to plant them, though, it would come at a greater cost to you, because if the town has the plantings done, they have to hire their own landscape installer and they have to pay prevailing wages. So it costs the town more, so they will charge you for that. So I would recommend you go to whatever nursery you end up purchasing the trees from and ask them for their landscaper to install them for you.
Okay. Well, I have a landscaper. Like, I just wanted to just so there was no, like I said, just so there's no further like any mistakes there.
So you can actually call Karen to come out and witness the tree planting, and if there's any questions, she can bring someone from the DPW along as well.
Okay. And then in terms of 10-foot trees,
We talked to our landscaper and they were kind of like, not that it's impossible, but they're like, we don't typically get
there's
or
not
plant
much
10-foot
10-foot
8 to 10 feet trees. So we're just wondering if we found the tree on a smaller scale. Like, I was even looking online at like nurseries, and the greatest I could find was like 6 to 7 feet. Is that okay?
So no, the 8 to 10 foot is the minimum that the board would allow you to plant, and that's standard policy. And we regularly have arborvitaes planted up to 20 feet tall, so they are available. You just have to check the nurseries, but they are available.
Madam Chair, I just want to remind you I have a hard stop this evening.
Thanks, Phil. I see two hands. I see Amanda, and then we'll go to Mike.
So just for the applicant, so once this hearing closes, what you'll do is when you have a landscape plan, you'll upload it to the portal that you've been working off of this whole time, and we can help workshop through it. So if we have any concerns, or if you have a desired layout for your fence, I would recommend showing that. That way, if there does need to be adjustments, we can help work through it with you.
Okay.
Excellent. Mike, your hand went down. Did you still have a comment?
Well, that was sort of what I wanted to comment on. I don't want to have Tim read that motion again, but
We don't.
should this be? It sounds like the applicants they want to look for guidance, and they want to do it right, this time. Is the town going to be looking at this and approving this? I'd feel more comfortable if there was some plan submitted and there was some, even if it's a quick oversight, so the landowners, have assurances that, what they're moving forward with is the correct way to do things.
Yeah, so one of the conditions in that motion was that the applicants submit a landscape plan based off of that DPW plan that we have, showing where the trees will be planted and what the actual variety will be. And then that would be reviewed by Elijah, our town planner, and Karen, our tree warden, and both would have to approve it before the plantings could be installed.
Perfect.
All right, Amanda, was that?
Nora. Yep.
All right, so we still have a motion and a second. I didn't hear anything that required an amendment. So we have a motion and a second. We've had further discussion. If there's no further discussion, I will take roll call. I'm not seeing any other hands. All right, Phil.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Tim.
Aye.
Karen.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. All right.
And
so
then we'll need another motion to close the hearing?
Right. That one's shorter.
Yes.
Do I read this again?
Go ahead, Tim.
All right. I, Timothy Halladina, move that the planning board close the scenic road public hearing for the unauthorized removal of trees in the public right of way along Canton Street at 11 Perry Drive.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll take roll call. Tim.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Karen.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. All right. Thank you. Thank you all. And obviously to the applicant, if you have any other questions, you can always reach back out through Karen or to the planning department, and folks will be happy to guide you through the rest of the process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah,
Thank
as
you.
well.
Have a good night.
guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
We also have to readmit Maureen.
Oh, yes. We need to bring Maureen back.
should be joining.
Excellent. She's coming in, so I can say that our next agenda item is 378 Washington Street, consideration of an environmental impact and design review, EIDR approval for retroactively approving a change of use to a professional services establishment, parking modifications, roof replacement, and other facade alterations at 378 Washington Street. This is continued from September 30th, 2025. Right, we have Maureen back, and it looks like we have the applicant as well.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
Hi, Alex here on behalf of 378 Washington Street LLC, on this environmental impact and design review for 378 Washington Street. I kind of wanted to start with saying that I believe that we answered everything of the beta group's review. If I think it would be prudent for me to just open it for questioning right from the start. I think we explained the site pretty well last meeting. And I just like to hear from you guys. And I believe that Mr. Kring is here today, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure. In case there's any questions that could be directed towards him.
Thank you. I agree. I thought you explained the site. You gave us a nice overview last time. So if unless the board has any objections, I think proceeding in that manner is the right way to go. I'm not seeing anyone say no. All right, then I will start with comments from staff, and then we'll move on to board member comments and questions, and then public participation.
So there were a couple of things that we just wanted to note. When the application came in, I believe it just specifically said there was going to be a CPA office there. Since then, another sign has been put up where it will be a CPA office and a law office. We did verify this with the building commissioner that they still meet the required parking for those two combined uses. And they both fall under professional services establishment. So that while it wasn't stated in the application, they have met their parking requirements. And then the other thing is, Mr. Kring has agreed to, there were some non-native species used in the revised plan where we added a planting section in the front. They have agreed to address those in the conditions. So similar to the last agenda item, will require a landscape plan showing the corrected species to address that.
Excellent. All right, any board member questions, comments? I'm not seeing anyone. All right. My only note was about the black-eyed Susans, and I know I had already sent some info on that, and it sounds like what I just heard is that's not a problem. So that's great. They'll sub that out. The dogwood's lovely. The flowers, something different, and then we're good. I appreciate the addition of adding some pervious surface to kind of offset. I thought that was a nice solution. So thank you for that. And yeah, as far as the offices, as I recall, I think we heard that last time that there was mention that there was the attorney and the CPA, but good catch that it wasn't actually in the application. So it sounds like that's just a administrative thing, just to make sure everything is reflected correctly. I didn't really have anything else unless anyone else, any other board member questions, comments? All right, well, this is a public hearing, so at this time I will open the floor to public participation. If there's anyone in attendance that would like to comment on this or ask a question about this application, please raise your hand. We can enable you to speak, or you're welcome to use the Q&A feature. We would just need your full name and address to be able to address your comment or question. Give that a minute. I'm not seeing anything. So I believe we'll have a couple of motions we'll need to entertain. Oh, Maureen, yes.
I just had one question. There was a picture of, they were questioning the water mitigation. because there was like a drain over to the side. I think it was almost like one of the last pictures. Was that adequate for whatever you're looking for a drainage report? Was there something along those lines that I might have seen?
So when Beta had done its initial review, they had indicated that there was no additional mitigation for stormwater in the plans, that they simply repaved the existing pavement.
Yep.
This latest plan set has a carve out from that pavement where they're reintroducing pervious surface. So they're taking an area in front of the first parking space on the right, I believe it is, as you enter the site, and they are turning that into a garden. And that garden will intercept some of the stormwater.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that was it. I was just, because I saw like a drain beside the building and I was,
I'm actually just scrolling through staff comments one more time. Just for the record, the question about the lighting plan, I know there was a waiver request there, but do we have confirmation that the lighting will be dark sky compliant?
From I'm not sure what lighting is out on site. All we were able to see is that, from my understanding, is the lights were replaced with new lights, but of the same exact lumen that was there at the time. I'm not sure what lights were placed on the building, whether they're dark sky compliant or not. I can't comment on that.
I guess this is a staff question then before we make a motion on that waiver. Is, from staff perspective, is that acceptable?
So what we can do is we can add a condition that requires, just like the landscape plan has to be submitted, that they submit information regarding the dark sky compliance of the new lighting fixtures.
Right. Yeah, we submitted, I think put screenshots of the spec sheets of the lighting, but I'm not certain whether it says in those spec sheets whether it's something that's dark sky compliant or not. I just can't.
I
I'm not
just
sure.
looked, they
I'm-
don't specify.
They don't specify. But yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, I would agree. We would need to add that condition.
I'm amenable to it being conditioned unless anybody else objects. I'm not seeing any objections. Maureen, I do see your hand up.
oh, I never put it down. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay, that wasn't new. Sorry.
Sorry.
No, no worries. All right, then I think that was the only other thing that jumped out at me. I just wanted to touch on a little bit. In that case, there was no public comment that I'm seeing, no hands, no comments. Then if there's no further discussion amongst board members and staff, we can start entertaining motions.
I mean, 1 second.
Sure. I can sing a song if you need an extra.
No.
Yeah.
We could choreograph a dance.
We can all do it if we want. We do a little.
I can just mention again, I really love that the solution was to lose a little pavement and put in some plants. So that's always a positive in my book. So again, very creative and I appreciate that. Well done. All right, good. There we go.
So on this one, we first have a motion for waivers.
I'll jump on this one. I move that the planning board grant the following waivers in association with the application for the Environmental Impact and Design Review, EIDR, approval for 378 Washington Street, as described in the application, therefore submitted to the planning board and filed in the office of the town clerk on September 2, 2025. Number 1, waiver from strict compliance with section 7.2.7.1.6 of the Westwood zoning bylaw regarding the submission of a stormwater drainage report. Number 2, waiver from the strict compliance with section 7.2.7.2 of the Westwood zoning bylaw requiring the submission of the exterior lighting plan. Number 3, waiver from strict compliance with section 7.2.7.3 of the Westwood zoning bylaw requiring the submission of a full traffic study. Number 4, waiver from strict compliance with section 7.2.7.4 of the Westwood zoning bylaw requiring the submission of renderings.
Second.
All right. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I will take roll call. Maureen?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Phil,
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. All right, we have another motion. This one's a little bit longer.
That's all right. I move that the planning board grant the Environmental Impact and Design Review, EIDR, approval to grant a change of use to a professional services establishment and to allow parking modifications, roof replacement, and other facade alterations at 378 Washington Street, as described in the application, therefore, submitted to the planning board and filed in the office of the town clerk on September 2nd, 2025, subject to the following conditions. Number one, except as modified by the conditions in the finding hereof, the project shall comply with the project plans and with the conditions of all prior decisions for the property in all respects. And the applicant shall pursue completion of the project with reasonable diligence and continuity. Number two, if the project or any condition imposed in this decision requires any other permit, license, or other approval from any Town of Westwood board, commission, or agency, or other Commonwealth or federal regulatory agency, the applicant shall make an appropriate application for the same and shall obtain all required approvals prior to the start of any work. If any condition of such permit, license, or other approval from any other board, committee, or agency is inconsistent with this decision, the applicant shall make application to the planning board for an amendment of this decision, and the planning board shall consider such application in accordance with the requirements of MGL Chapter 40A, Section 9, and all applicable planning board rules and regulations. Number three, any proposed alterations, modifications, deletions, or changes to the decision shall be requested in writing to the town planner and building commissioner prior to implementation. A, proposed alterations which are considered de minimis by the building commissioner may be accepted as a note to the file. B, proposed alterations which are considered minor by the building commissioner shall require the filing of a modification application of said approval for review by the planning board at a publicly posted planning board meeting. C, proposed alterations which are determined to be major by the building commissioner or by the planning board shall be considered by the planning board as a formal amendment to the approval and will require a new public hearing before the planning board. Number four, prior to the issuance of the building permit, the applicant shall submit a landscape plan for review and approval by the town planner, which plan shall be consistent with the intentions of the majority of the planning board members, as expressed in the course of the public hearing session on October 21, 2025. All landscaping approved therein shall be Massachusetts native species and shall be installed at the earliest possible date, but only during the spring growing season running from April 15 through June 15, or during the fall growing season running from September 15 through November 15. Any plantings that do not survive shall be replaced in kind in perpetuity at the property owner's expense. A copy of this decision and the project plans shall be kept on the project site at all times during construction. 5, prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall submit certification that the newly installed exterior lights are dark sky compliant, and if they are not, the existing light fixtures shall be replaced with new fixtures that are dark sky compliant. 6, all project-related construction activities shall comply with the timeframes set forth in the town's general bylaws, Chapter 292, for noise and construction, which allows such work Monday through Saturday between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., and Sunday between the hours of 12 p.m. and 7 p.m. 7, the decision shall lapse if a substantial use thereof or construction thereunder has not begun, except for good cause, within 2 years following the grant thereof. The planning board may extend such approval for good cause upon the written request of the applicant.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll take roll call. Maureen,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Phil,
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. We have one more.
I move that the planning board close the EIDR public hearing for the change of use and associated site work at 378 Washington Street.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll take roll call. Phil,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Maureen,
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thanks for working with us on this.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so our next agenda item was 85 University Ave, but as we already heard, that is no longer on the agenda, so we will move right along to 174 University Ave, consideration of a project development review approval to install a remote drive-through at 174 University Avenue. That is the Chase Bank. All right. Yes, Amanda.
So we do have the peer reviewer here tonight, so I've promoted him as well. And then also I want to just bring your attention to the fact that it's 8 o'clock and Phil has to go soon.
Thank you. I was eyeballing that as well. So let's just dive right in on this one.
Thank you, Amanda.
All right.
Looking out for you.
I see someone has their hand up. Amy, I'm not even going to try and pronounce her last name, but Studio DSK, is that a member of the applicant team? Yes.
Yeah,
Awesome.
she's been promoted.
Fabulous. Thank you. All right. Welcome all. So if you would like to give us a brief overview of your ask this evening, I'm happy to hand the floor over.
So does the applicant want to summarize the project and then our peer reviewer can comment?
Yeah, was this the application for the Chase Bank?
Yes.
The Chase
Oh.
Bank ATM.
Okay, perfect. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, we can hop right into it. I know we're kind of sensitive to time this evening. So my name is Giovanni Caesar. I'm with Stonefield Engineering here on behalf of JP Morgan Chase Bank. We're located at 120 Washington Street, Salem, Massachusetts, and we're here tonight to go over the proposed construction of a remote drive-through freestanding ATM. As a bit of history, quickly for this application here, we were here last year where we secured approval to fit up the previous Casa Loca restaurant. There was an internal demising wall constructed, and Chase Bank occupies roughly 3,500 square feet of the site. And the site improvements include ADA parking, some lighting improvements, landscaping improvements, and we're here this evening to kind of focus on the other part of the parking lot. We're proposing the removal of a few parking spaces and the reconstruction of a landscape island kind of centered to that right side, or excuse me, the northern side of the parking lot to accommodate the freestanding ATM. The ATM vestibule itself will roughly be about 50 square feet in size, and the entire monolithic concrete pad that it rests on will be around 500 square feet. We've gone through the peer review with Beta Group as we are in the University Ave Mixed Use Overlay District, and we've worked with Mr. Merrick Turner and his staff on kind of ensuring that all the technical specifications for the site are up to snuff. We've also forwarded a vehicular maneuvering exhibit to Fire Chief Lund, and his department was able to review and note no significant concerns. Really, the only major change from this rendition of the application versus when we initially kind of proposed it was some landscaping improvements, as well as I think we increased the radius on one of the curb radii within the bypass lane. So it shouldn't be too unfamiliar, and in the interest of time, we can open it up to any questions or comments that we can clarify.
Thank you. That was a very concise summary. I'm happy to turn it over to staff and Merrick at this time to kind of give us the peer review perspective.
I would suggest starting with Merrick because I have a feeling he'll address almost everything.
Agreed. Thank you.
So Merrick Turner, I'm with Beta Group, the peer reviewer for the town of Westwood for the University Station site. As indicated in our October 8th letter to the board, we conducted an initial review of the application. We generated a series of comments relative to the PDR review criteria for the University Avenue mixed-use district. We've coordinated with the applicant to resolve those comments. We met with them once virtually and town staff. And the various comments, responses, and any actions, and there are relatively few, are in our October 8th letter to the board. Just to give a very quick overview of some key items, I'm joined by Amy Sheehan, Latvacoco. That's she's the the architect with DSK that worked with us on this. Architecturally, this was pretty straightforward. Really a simple structure with a color scheme and signage and so forth that is consistent, provides a consistent Chase branding across the site. We can certainly get into any other specific comments with Amy as we work through tonight. Landscaping treatments, as just noted, I think one of the things we did see is an improvement in the overall treatments on the site compared to the first submission. With rejuvenation of the rain gardens, some additional trees, and cleaning up of the border area between the parking lot and University Ave. So there's definitely an effort here to clean the site up and add some additional plantings. From a traffic perspective, we really don't expect the changes, the addition of the ATM, to cause any operational issues either at the intersection with University Avenue or for the site in general. Parking sufficient, appropriate number of accessible spaces, and again, as just noted, the fire department has documented that they're happy with the overall access and so forth from a safety standpoint in and around the site. Stormwater treatment systems have all been retained from the original design. So the various treatments that were in place historically for the site are all remain. Roof drainage continues to be infiltrated to the ground, and the site actually has a small decrease in impervious area. So that will also help with general water quality characteristics. One thing we did note in terms of spill prevention, that the application did include an O&M plan for the stormwater system. And we noted to the applicant that historically the University Station development has a standard O&M plan, which we have since provided to the applicant. And again, the board may be familiar with the process with the O&M plan, which typically is submitted, reviewed, and approved by the town along with or closer to the final occupation certification, so forth. So one thing we did note there is a suggestion in terms of if the board is ready or and able to make a decision, that a condition may want to be considered there relative to a future submission of that O&M plan. And then the last thing I would note is as we look through the 2024 application for the decision, there were, which was the original building conversion of the restaurant to the Chase Bank. There were various conditions associated with that decision. It's our understanding that have been resolved, but again, we defer to the planning board in terms of just resolution of any of those outstanding issues. So a very quick summary, happy to come back to any other content of our letter to the board.
Thank you. Any other input from staff?
I'm just going to put up the drawing so you can see exactly what it is we're looking at. So if you look on the right side of the screen, this is the area where they're changing the landscaped island, replacing some existing parking spaces with this grassed area here, and adding some other landscape around here. This is the drive-through ATM, and to indicate what that looks like, here's another view. And the colors are consistent with the colors used by Chase Bank on the associated building.
Which, as I recall, we landed on is also consistent with the color scheme that we use in the rest of University Station.
It's slightly different. I think on the building, when they were before you last year for the building, you tried to get some warmer gray tones into the treatment on the exterior of the building. And that was done, but the signage is Chase's logo color blue, and that is what they're proposing here for the ATM. So the ATM is a cool gray with their logo blue, which matches the sign that's on the building.
Okay. Thank you. Any other staff comments before I open it up to board members?
Yes, so the outstanding items that Merrick mentioned, so the O&M plan we have included in our draft conditions to be addressed. So that'll be something that gets submitted to staff for review. And then also Elijah felt that the revised landscape plan did have some additional plantings and that was sufficient. And then one other thing to note, and this has already been discussed with the applicant, but the retail space that was carved out within the building, that if another use is to go in there, that will have to come back to the planning board for an application.
Thank you. I have some comments on the plantings, but I'll let my colleagues go first if they have anything they'd like to add. I'm waiting to see any. I'm not seeing any. All right, I had a couple of quick comments on the plantings. In the interest of time, I can submit my notes on specific species after the fact, but a couple of your species were not native, so they'll need to be swapped out for Massachusetts native plants. And then I also noticed on the existing conditions, I was seeing things like Japanese tree. It looks like you have some existing plants that aren't necessarily native. Some of it, it's hard to tell because it just says maple, which could be a Norway or it could be a sugar, it could be a red. So I would like to condition, one, I'd like to see a species list of the existing, not just what you're proposing to add. And maybe add a condition that as some of those plants reach the end of their natural life, that they are replaced with Massachusetts native species. But I can, again, if we can just condition the planting changes, I'm fine with that. And I can send along my notes, separately. And that was all I had.
Yeah, we can agree to that.
Okay, awesome. Then I didn't have anything else unless my colleagues or staff had anything else to add or any questions or any questions from the applicant.
Nothing from the applicant side of things.
All right.
Just let me update that condition and I'll be right with you.
Sure. All right. Yeah, if there's nothing else from anyone, we can move on to motions once the motions are ready.
Nora, while you're typing that, just a procedural question. If they change the species of the plantings down the road, is that something we handle administratively or will they have to come back?
Yes, they would have to have administrative approval to make any changes within University Station. So the intent, and I think we would look at this throughout the development. If there are any trees that die throughout the development, in the foreseeable future, they would have to be replaced. We would make sure that the replacement trees were native species.
Okay.
That was not a consideration when University Station was developed more than 10 years ago.
Mike, you up for this?
Yes, I move that the planning board grant the requested project development review PDR approval for 174 University Avenue as described in the application, therefore submitted to the planning board and filed in the office of the town clerk on June 12, 2025, subject to the following conditions. 1, except as modified by the conditions and findings hereof, the project shall comply with the project plans and with the conditions of all prior decisions for the property in all respects, and the applicant shall pursue completion of the project with reasonable diligence and continuity. 2, if the project or any condition imposed in this decision requires any other permit, license, or other approval from any town of Westwood board, commissioner, agency, or other Commonwealth or federal regulatory agency, the applicant shall make an appropriate application for the same and shall obtain all required approvals prior to the start of any work. If any condition of such permit, license, or other approval from any other board, committee, or agency is inconsistent with this decision, the applicant shall make application to the planning board for an amendment of this decision, and the planning board shall consider such application in accordance with the requirements of MGL Chapter 48, Section 9, and all applicable planning board rules and regulations. 3, any proposed alterations, modifications, deletions, or changes to the decision shall be requested in writing to the town planner and building commissioner prior to implementation. A, proposed alterations which are considered de minimis by the building commissioner may be accepted as a note to the file. B, proposed alterations which are considered minor by the building commissioner shall require the filing of a modification application of said approval for review by the planning board at a publicly posted planning board hearing. C, proposed alterations which are determined to be major by the building commissioner or by the planning board shall be considered by the planning board as a formal amendment to the approval and will require a new public hearing before the planning board. 4, this PDR approval only allows the use of the 3,499 square foot section of the building as indicated on the site plans for a bank. The portion of the existing structure which is titled Future Permitted Use on said site plans shall not be used for any purpose unless and until an additional PDR approval applicable to that portion of the existing structure is requested by the applicant or property owner and granted by the board. 5, prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for any portion of the structure, the applicant shall submit an updated operations and maintenance plan, O&M plan, per engineering peer review comment, SPR2 of the quote, Chase Bank ATM project development review, end quote, by Merrick Turner, PE Beta Group Inc., dated October 8, 2025, for review and approval by the town planner. 6, all landscaping approved herein shall be Massachusetts native species and installed at the earliest possible date, but only during the spring growing season running from April 15 through June 15, or during the fall growing season running from September 15 through November 15. Any plantings that do not survive shall be replaced in kind in perpetuity at the property owner's expense. If any pre-existing plantings which are not Massachusetts native species are eventually replaced, said planting shall be replaced with Massachusetts native species plantings following administrative approval of the same by the town planner. A copy of this decision and the project plan shall be kept in the project site at all times during construction. 8, all project-related construction activities shall comply with the timeframe set forth in the town's general bylaws, Chapter 292, for noise and construction, which allows such work Monday through Saturday between 9. The decision shall lapse if a substantial use thereof or construction thereunder has not begun, except for good cause, within 2 years following the grant thereof. The planning board may extend such approval for good cause upon the written request of the applicant.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
May I recommend one amendment? I noticed as you were reading this, 3C refers to a public hearing. This is a project development review, which does not require a hearing, it requires a meeting. So if you could accept an amendment to just replace the word hearing with meeting in condition 3C.
So Mike, you need to move to make the amendment.
Okay,
And then
I move to amend paragraph 3C to state proposed alterations which are determined to be major by the building commissioner or by the planning board shall be considered by the planning board as a formal amendment to the approval and will require a new public meeting before the planning board.
Thank
second
you.
on the amendment.
All right, I have an amended motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll take roll call. Mike?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Maureen? I'm not hearing. You're muted. There you
I
are.
know, aye.
Aye. All right, I vote aye as well. That motion carries. Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
all.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you all.
Thank you. Then our next agenda item is minutes. We have 2 sets. We have minutes from the joint meeting with the select board on the 29th of September, and then our meeting on the 30th of September. Were folks able to review the minutes, and did anyone have any additions, subtractions, or otherwise changes to the minutes?
I didn't see anything.
I didn't either.
Okay.
All right, then we need to take these separately
Yeah.
because Tim was not a board member for the first
Right.
one.
I was just going to say that.
All right, so I would entertain a motion on the minutes for the 29th.
Want me to do it?
Go ahead, Maureen, your turn.
Okay, I move that the planning board approve the minutes for the meeting of September 29, 2025 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll take roll call. And Tim, it looks like because you're here, you have to abstain from the vote. We don't just skip you. So you would just say abstain. Phil?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Tim?
Abstain.
Perfect. Maureen?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. And then we have a motion on the minutes from September 30th.
I move that the planning board approve the minutes of the meeting of September 30, 2025 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll take roll call. Maureen?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Vote aye as well. That motion carries. Thanks as usual, Jess, for the very well done minutes. All right, next up, agency and committee updates. Updates from agency and committee representatives. Has anyone attended any meetings? Yes, Amanda.
So the Design Guidelines Task Force did have their first meeting on October 8th. We had attendance from all the members, and there's some materials we're getting together for them, just kind of some, historical information, things like that. So excited to get that off the ground. We do have former planning board member Trevor Lavenstein, who has expressed interest in being appointed to this task force. We haven't received an official letter of interest, so there's nothing for the planning board to act upon now, but just so that's on your radar.
That was wouldn't be my question, because we had talked about the letter, but if it hasn't been submitted yet, then we sit tight.
Excellent. And I personally am very excited to hear that Trevor is interested. I think he'd be a great addition to that effort. Any other agency and committee updates? Has anyone been to any meetings?
No.
All right. Okay, well, that makes that easy. Then the next agenda item, our final agenda item, would be miscellaneous updates. Looks like we have a draft meeting schedule for 2026. Yes, Amanda.
You were already ahead of me.
Sorry.
So you don't need to decide on this tonight, but we wanted to at least give you a chance to look at it now. And so that way, next meeting, you guys can officially confirm if this is the schedule. Did anyone want to ask any questions or go through it quickly?
I thought it looked, and the FinCom hearings and whatnot, those are pretty immutable, right? Like unless there's some big change if town meeting were to move, those are kind of set in stone, correct?
Yeah, so those
Yeah.
those meeting dates have been established by the FinCom and they're posted to the website, so I don't expect those to change. If there are any additional special town meetings or a fall town meeting next year, those would be in addition. So those would be added, and if any of those FinCom meetings conflict with planning board meetings, we would amend your schedule.
Perfect.
Mhm.
All right, yeah, I took a quick look. Nothing jumped out at me, but I think it's thank you for getting those to us today. And I think it's fine to kind of finalize that at the next meeting, give board members a chance to sit with it for a little bit. Jess.
That was my question. We're just going to finalize them at the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
This is just a draft for you to check against your calendars and then come to the next meeting
Great.
with any conflicts.
Thank you.
Perfect. Were there any other administrative updates today?
Just one on meetings, I think. Oh, well, you go ahead.
So first thing is, I had reached out to the new planning board members about fair housing training. That is something we require of the planning board. And I only heard back from one of you. So please let me know ASAP if you are able to attend the FinCom meeting on November 12th. That is their regular scheduled meeting, and that is when they have chosen to have their fair housing training, which will be the first time they are getting that. And we thought logistically it would be easier if we can group people together. If you can't make it that night, we will arrange a separate time to do that. But we just need to know for planning purposes, and also if we have a certain number of members, we obviously want to make sure we're posting appropriately. So please respond to me ASAP about that. And
Amanda,
then, yeah.
Amanda, if 3 are there, that would be a quorum.
Correct.
Yes.
So-
Yeah.
Okay, so it just.
So then we would post it as a planning board meeting.
And so that would mean Ellen and I would also be in attendance, correct?
You could be, you wouldn't have to.
Wouldn't
It could
have-
just be the 3 new members, and the only agenda item would be the fair housing training with the FinCom members.
Got it. Okay.
You're welcome to attend, but
Yeah,
it's
if you would
mandatory.
Tim, Maureen, and I might be doing all sorts of things, Phil, that you don't know about. So
Who's going to be the chair? That's what I want to know, Mike.
Who's the clerk?
Yeah.
All right.
And then, along the same lines, the housing production plan is wrapping up. We met last week to go over the goals and strategies one more time, and then some people weren't able to attend, so we're just giving people a chance to. I'm going to share the recording with them so that they have the opportunity to comment. In the meantime, I'm working on finalizing the draft, and that'll be released. And we are hoping to, or planning, I should say, to advertise this so that it can be a hearing on December 2nd before the planning board. That'll be the same hearing notice as our rules and regulations update. So just to keep that on your radar. And then
Can I just ask one question
Yeah.
on that, Nora and Amanda? Being a member of both, do I vote, abstain, or how do I handle that?
I would say you vote.
I do vote.
I
Okay.
believe you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make
You,
sure
you,
that
you provide a
whatever I'm supposed to be doing-
recommendation. Yeah, so as the housing partnership, you provide a recommendation to the planning board, but the planning board itself is the authority to vote on the plan.
Got it. Okay.
And then lastly, I know some people replied directly to Elijah, so apologies if you've already responded, but we just didn't get it. Elijah had sent out an email about meeting next Tuesday to hear an A&R application that came in, since we do have to respond within a specific amount of time, and our next meeting is pretty far off. Does that work for everybody?
I had replied directly to Elijah, so
Yeah,
Okay.
I
same.
said, yes, I'm available.
Okay.
And I replied to him also.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm seeing nods all around.
So that
okay.
meeting would just have 2 agenda items. One would be the A&R plan and the other would be adoption of your calendar for 2026.
Okay.
So it should be good and short.
Jess,
Okay.
we didn't put minutes on there to give you a little more time.
No worries.
Okay, that was it.
All right, great. And so I'm glad we were able to close the loop on the 21st as well. Excellent. So then I think the last item would be upcoming board meetings. I fibbed when I said that was our last agenda item. We have board meetings coming up on November. Well, now we have one next week. And then November 18th, 2025 and December 2nd, 2025. And that's all that we have on our docket for tonight. So unless someone has anything else they would like to share. Oh, thank you, Nora.
Great, great.
A little bit more detail then. Yes, October 28th, 2025. And then as noted, November 12th, 2025 would be the joint fair housing training with the Finance and Warrant Commission. And then the 18th of November, December 2nd, and then December 16th. So we have a lot going on in the next 2 months. Hooray. All right. Unless anyone has anything else, and we have 2 minutes to spare for Phil, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Amanda, you got to tell Elijah that you kept everybody on track. So I think he needs not to show up next time.
Oh, yeah.
I move that we adjourn.
I second.
I have a motion and second. Any further discussion on adjournment? Seeing none, I'll take roll call. Tim?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
Mike? We didn't hear you, Mike.
Mike,
Sorry.
you're muted.
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
See ya.
Have a good
Have
night.
fun, Phil.
Have a good night. Thanks.